Hey, good morning, everybody. John here at Havoc Maker Studio. I have been up since like 5 o'clock this morning. For some of you, that's not a big deal, but for me, who gets pretty much no sleep, that's a big deal. And I think I have been dwelling on that little bit of an info dump that Atomic Mass Games did for Marvel Crisis Protocol. The silhouette, I'm guessing, really weighed on my mind overnight, and, and I had to really think about it. I am still adamant that that is Moondragon on the left, but I have come around now to, on the right, that silhouette being the Black Swan. Some people are still, I mean, we're going to go back and forth until they reveal it. Some people really think that is Supernova on the left, which it could be, but Supernova, pretty much in every comic we've ever seen, has her hood up, and she's also a former member of the Black Order. So I don't know if they would include her in there. She's not, I mean, she was not really in the Black Order for any real length of time, unlike the other four plus Black Swan. So I put a lot of thought into it, and overnight, and got up early, went and worked out, and well, more like rehab workout. And I was like, okay, let's take a look at her powers. Let's take a look at who she is, what she does, and why we think it's her. And so, like I said, I am pretty adamant. So let's take a look at what I'm thinking. And if you guys have some other ideas, then please put them in the comments below. And thank you guys so much. A bunch of you jumped on, even though I had some difficulties getting the live Q&A up for the Multiverse RPG from Marvel. We had about a 20 to 30-ish minute delay because internet kept going down. Got it fixed. Still did the live show. A bunch of people, I missed a bunch of people, but you guys can check that video out down below and or in the library. And I might do kind of like a quick recap video with some graphics to make it a little bit easier for people to visually see the terminologies and the numbers and such, and hear somebody explaining it to them. I think I might do that. If you guys want to see that, let me know in the comments below. All right, let's take a look at Black Swan. Now, real quick history with Black Swan. She is from a different universe. She is not from the 616 universe. She was originally from, I think, the 1231. Oh man, I couldn't tell you what universe she was from. And when they had this whole Secret Wars thing kind of going on, not Secret Wars, but the incursions where all these realities of the multiverse were colliding with each other, that's where she kind of came onto the scene. Now, she wasn't always a member of the Black Order. She was actually one of the Black Swans, which are these beings that were raised to become basically servants of Rabban, or Allah, otherwise known as the Great Destroyer, who, spoiler alert, close your ear holes if you don't want to hear this, even though this has already been out and you can find this online. This Rabam, Allah, whatever, the Great Destroyer, is in fact Doctor Doom from a different Earth when all these incursions were happening, and he was basically the ruler of Battle World, I believe, at that time. And he would send out the Black Swans to kill all these versions of the Molecule Man, who has a connection to the Beyonders, who were basically threading the multiverse. And so Doctor Doom, in all his wisdom, felt like, hey, we kill all these molecule men, we stop the process. So anyways, so Black Swan got all of her powers and everything boosted up from basically becoming one of the Black Swans. Or I think they actually call them the Black Swans. So she gets imprisoned by the Illuminati. Thanos comes around, is like, nah, I don't want you. But eventually he's like, yeah, okay, we'll take you. After a whole, I'm not going to go over her whole history because there's a lot to cover. But what I can tell you is that eventually she, between going siding with the heroes, siding with the villains, siding with the heroes, siding with the villains, she eventually joins the Black Order. She is kind of like like a buddy buddy, like best pals, besties. There we go, besties for resties with Proxima Midnight, especially after Corvus Glaive was killed by Rogue. So they pal around a lot. Now, her powers, I put some examples of her powers based on what I've read in the comics, what I've gathered from two other sources that give power ratings for abilities, and I'm trying my best to, based on what I've read, what I've seen, and what other people have rated, or at least officially and unofficially have rated, some comparisons. So she does have these optic blasts. Now, it's not on the same level or, I guess, bandwidth or bulkiness, whatever, of Cyclops, but it's a roughly the same power level, and in some cases a little higher power level wise than Cyclops. Now, Cyclops, if he takes his visor off, everything kind of goes big, full Super Saiyan mode. But I would rate her about the equivalent of Cyclops when it comes to the optic blasts. Her super strength is considerably less than, say, Thor and the Hulk, She-Hulk, and such, but it's on an equivalent level of Jane Foster, the Valkyrie version of Jane Foster. So if you're not familiar, Jane Foster goes from being Jane Foster to Thor, or what people like to say is Lady Thor, or in the MCU, she's going to be called the Mighty Thor. After that whole thing is over and done with, she becomes a Valkyrie. So her super strength, according to all the ratings, is about the equivalent of the Valkyrie. What that puts her at tonnage wise and how much she can lift, I don't know, but it is definitely extremely high. Actually, I can put from what I gathered from previous characters like, say, America Chavez, Carol Danvers, even Rogue. This is around the 25 to 75 ton range. So that kind of gives you the lifting capacity of that she has. Now, in regards to her force fields, they're less than what Invisible Woman can do in the comic books, but she can put up some pretty potent power fields. I mean, or force fields. When you think of force fields in the comics, at least the people with the most gifted characters, the most powerful characters, Invisible Woman, Susan Storm from the Fantastic Four is kind of like the pinnacle when it comes to that. Everybody else just kind of falls in around her orbit. So Black Swan is not quite at that level, but she's still enough to withstand deadly attacks. So I don't know really how to rate that in regards to comics or to the tabletop. Well, I'm going to take a guess, and we go from there. And then her flight, there's nothing saying exactly how fast she can fly, but we know she can fly and hover at will. From what I've seen, this few issues that I saw her flying around in, that it is doesn't appear to be supersonic. So she's not breaking the sound barrier, but she can fly very fast. So I was like, okay, she's probably like Banshee level of flight, but not maybe Carol Danvers level of flight. Does it make sense? Then her telepathy that she does have some sort of mind abilities. It's really to kind of probe minds and communicate with them telepathically. It's not an offense, or really, I'd say defense would be a stretch, but generally if you have some sort of telepathic ability, you have a little more defense against telepathic or mind assaults. So, I think that really, I mean, she's got genius level intelligence and she can speak a lot of languages, but those don't really reflect well on the tabletop. Now, when I'm looking at this and I was thinking about this character last night, I was like, okay, how would I rate her? She's not like super tough and invulnerable like Proxima Midnight or Black Dwarf, but she's definitely still a potent character, somewhere in between Jean Grey and Proxima Midnight. So I was like, okay, let's give her a 5 for health, probably 5 on both sides. Her movement, I would say, I might need, I think I could probably change that to a medium. But I think since she does have the ability to fly, and it's not like telekinesis flight, like say Jean Grey, then this gives her more of a longer movement. 'Cause this is she's not using a power like telekinesis to lift herself up and fly. She actually has an at-will ability to fly. So I figure give her a long range flight. That makes sense. Size 2 for sure. There's nothing indicating that she's really big or taller than Proxima Midnight, who's a medium character. And I figured with Proxima Midnight, a threat 4 character, or I think maybe threat 3. I figure this character fits in a threat 3. There might be, depending on what other special abilities that they were to give her, I think it could be a 4, but I really don't see a 4. I see a 3. Defenses, 3s in physical and energy, that's kind of a standard, but I think with that telepathic ability that she has, I think, and some training that she's got as a Black Swan, I would put her at a 4 for the Mystic. Though I think we could do a 3. But I think that's good right there. That gives her something different. Now, this is, and excuse my terminology here because I don't have the program wasn't working, and I didn't want to sit there and spend hours trying to make my own card for her. So I think her main attacks will I think we'll get 3 attacks. One will be a strike, probably around 4 or 5 dice, range 2, 0 power cost. No big deal there. Then I think she'll have a basic optic blast, range 3 or 4, 5 dice, 0 cost. Nothing else fancy going alongside it. She might, whenever she does it, she might gain a point of power. Not per damage. I think her strike attack will do that, but I think the optic blast will be more along the lines of, hey, you used the power, and since you used it, you gain 1 power at the end. Then her cost attack will be Optic Blast. I'm just going to call it Optic Blast 2 for lack of a better term. Same range, 7 dice, 3 power, and give it if you roll the wild symbol, you get the piercing ability. She doesn't have that wide angle beam from everything I've read that, like, say, Cyclops has or Havoc would have with even though he's not an optic blast, but he has an energy attack and it's a wide beam attack. Hers are like, basically like laser beams coming out of her eyes. I mean, they're optic blast. So I feel like they'd be a little bit more precise and a little bit more potent, but really not on a wide beam. We wouldn't do a beam attack like, say, Cyclops, his optic blast can do. So I think this fits. Her super strength, we'd make that a superpower. We'd call it something else, obviously, but just in regards to her super strength, costs 2 power. She can pick up a size 3 and throw it medium range. Now this puts her below Thor, but above most other characters. I think it's perfect for her super strength size. 25 to 75 tons. I think that fits in there. That's picking up a building and tossing it. The force field. This is just a haymaker or a Hail Mary. Sorry, not haymaker, but a Hail Mary. Spend X power and get X power or add X power to reduce damage. I worded that wrong. Basically, kind of like how not Colossus, but Juggernaut can reduce damage by depending on how much power he spends. I feel like she could do something similar. Flight would give her a medium flight if she has a medium movement, but if she has a long movement, then we give her a long flight. Does that make sense? That right there's a little bit of a misprint. And then with her telepathic powers, she would have a high mystic defense. I already kind of covered that in this previous slide. So I think that's not too bad of an analysis of what we could see from here. And obviously we'll probably see some, at least another innate ability and probably another superpower. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Am I kind of on the right track here with that character? Is my analysis of character creations getting a little easier, or do you guys think that are a little bit more accurate, or am I just way off the mark here? So that's it for today, guys. We're just going to be doing some speculation videos until more content brings up. And if you guys have some speculation or you have some characters you want me to speculate on in regards to Marvel Crisis Protocol, put it in the comments below. I will most certainly do the research on the characters and do my best to come up with some reasonable analysis so we can sit there and talk about it in the comments and whatnot. Anyways, you guys have yourself a wonderful day, and I will chat with you later.